My goodness. Well, thank you so very much. It is an honor to be here at the Values Voters Summit. It's been an interesting couple of weeks in my life, and I just want to say thank you to all of you for the prayers and the encouragement. And I just have to tell you that it was a blessing to be at Fox News Channel. It was an honor to be able to work there and to tell our stories and to share our stories with the rest of the nation. And it really was a blessing. You know, people ask me, they said, Todd, what did you do when you walked out of the Fox News corner of the world for the last time? Well, this is going to sound weird, but I saw a sign from the Lord. I saw a sign that said, eat more chicken. And I felt drawn to that sign, that bright light on 6th Avenue in New York City, and I walked in and had myself a Chick-fil-A sandwich, of course the official chicken of our Lord, but it's also a chicken sandwich for the soul. Well, we are launching into a new adventure at Fox News, at Starnes Media Group. Look, guys, it's been 15 years. You got to give me a chance to get it out of my system. We launched Starnes Media Group about a year ago, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit about what we're doing with the new company. We have launched, just on Monday, we launched our commentaries on more than 750 radio stations around the country. On November the 4th, we're launching our 3-hour talk show. And just yesterday, we launched what we're calling the Toddcast. It's a podcast, but we're calling it Toddcast. Very clever. And I'm excited to tell you, on iTunes, we hit the top 100 podcast in less than 24 hours. So we're really excited about that. And we're launching a newsletter. We have an incredible website that we are going to work very hard to cover news and commentary that is important to all of us as conservatives and as patriots. And the great thing is, all of the stuff I'm sharing with you is free of charge. You say, well, Todd, how can that be? Well, I didn't say I was a good businessman. I just, I'm kind of new at this. But up on the screens, there is a number for you to text. And if you'd like information on all of these things that we're going to be rolling out, then I would encourage you to text that number, and you'll be able to get some updates from us about the exciting things that we're going to do. But I want to make a promise to you. We have assembled a great team of conservatives and believers. And I want to make a promise to you. We're going to work around the clock to make sure that you have the news and the information that you want. No fake news, no fake polls, no fake conservatives, no never Trumpers. That's a promise that I plan to keep. And we're going to fight every single day with every breath in our bodies to defend religious liberty. We're going to fight for the First Amendment, and we're going to do our part to keep America great. Nothing is changing except our address, and I want to reassure you about something. Yeah, I'm starting a new chapter as a small business owner in America, but I want you to know I'm still proud to call myself a gun-toting, Bible-clinging son of a Baptist. Now, in a few moments, I will be signing copies of my new book. It's called Culture Jihad: How to Stop the Left from Killing a Nation. It's a subtle title, isn't it? Yeah. We had some trouble with this book, promoting this book. My publisher, a terrific group of folks, they wanted to pay Facebook a boatload of money so they could advertise my book. And Facebook told them, no, we're not going to accept these ads because this book violates our community standards. So they turned down advertising for the book. And on launch day, we found out that Amazon.com all of a sudden had a problem with our ebook. So we've had a few hiccups here and there, but it is a provocative book title because, my fellow countrymen, we are living in a very provocative time. I want you to get a copy of this book. You need to read every page of this book. It really is, as we say back home in Tennessee, a hellfire and brimstone message for freedom-loving patriots. Now, on Election Day 2020, Americans will stand at a crossroad. Do we take the path leading us to freedom and prosperity, or do we take the path that leads us to socialism and destruction? Do we stand up for the First Amendment, or do we allow ourselves to be silenced? Do we defend the right to bear arms, or do we allow ourselves to be disarmed? Do we stand up for the unborn, or do we turn a blind eye to a modern-day genocide? I interviewed Franklin Graham for my book, and he said it's time for Christians to stand for their faith. Socialism is on the rise. The Bill of Rights is under assault. People of faith are facing persecution. Gun owners are in the crosshairs. And our public schools have been turned into anti-American indoctrination centers. A leftist mob made up of socialist politicians, academic elites, raging feminists, and basement-dwelling pajama boys has partnered with Antifa, the illegal aliens, and other radical groups to finish what President Obama started, a fundamental transformation of our nation, and we cannot allow that to happen. Vice President Mike Pence sounded the alarm during his 2019 commencement address at Liberty University. I want to read to you what the Vice President told those gathered. Throughout most of American history, it's been pretty easy to call yourself a Christian. It did not even occur to people that you might be shunned or ridiculed for defending the teachings of the Bible. Now, the Vice President was widely ridiculed for his assessment of the state of Christianity in America. But the truth is, in recent years, Christians have faced unrelenting attacks in the public marketplace, not just from the secularist, but from the sex and gender revolutionaries. The Vice President rightly said that some of the loudest voices for tolerance in America have little tolerance for traditional Christian beliefs. I love America. I really do. I love freedom. And over the past decade, I have seen those freedoms fade away. And that's why I wrote Culture Jihad. In that book, I chronicle attacks on the First Amendment. I tell stories about how people on the left have tried to ban books like Little House on the Prairie and To Kill a Mockingbird. I mean, little Laura Ingalls Wilder, what did she do to anybody? She's just living out there on the prairie in a little house. I document in the book crusades to ban patriotic songs and statues honoring our founding fathers. There was a raging debate over whether or not to remove a mural of George Washington at George Washington High School in San Francisco. And in the story, they literally wanted to paint over the mural with white paint. So they were literally whitewashing history before our very eyes in San Francisco. I tell stories about Catholic farmers banned from selling produce at a local market simply because they believe in traditional marriage. I tell stories about judicial nominees interrogated on Capitol Hill because of their Christian faith. Governor Mike Huckabee told me that we are watching a jihad against people who hold to traditional values. No longer are we a people who have a traditional view or a conservative view or a Christian view. We are people who have a view that is utterly unacceptable in today's culture. That's what Governor Mike Huckabee said. Now, I'm not sure what you were doing last night. I was on the Acela Express coming down from New York City, where I live, among the indigenous liberal population. People have asked me, Todd, why would you do that? Why do you live among those people? And I said, well, to truly understand the American liberal, I needed to live in their natural habitats. Oh, I have a story. I wasn't going to tell you this story. Can I just tell you all a fun story? Is that all right? This has nothing to do with politics. So I'm a good old-fashioned Baptist. I'm a teetotaler most of the time. My mother she was strict. She would not let us drink Welch's grape juice past the expiration date. I mean, she was very afraid of the fermentation. Very, that's true. So anyway, I needed to get a haircut, and I got to be honest with you, there's not much left up top, and I didn't want to be one of those older guys with the 19-year-old haircut, but I wanted to look somewhat respectable. So we have a hipster barber shop in our neighborhood, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go down there and see if they can't help me out. So I went down there, and it's one of these places where they give you a shot of whiskey before they commence to cut your hair. And so I said, well, no, thank you, but I'm a Baptist. And so when you get your hair cut, you have to take your glasses off. I am blind as a bat. I can't see a thing. It's just a blur. But I could tell that it was taking a long time to cut my hair. And I just told the guy I wanted it a little off the side, just kind of tighten it up a little bit. Apparently that means something different in hipster language. So anyway, it was 45 minutes it took to cut, 45 minutes, and there's not much there. So finally he finishes. He gives me my glasses, and it looked like I had been in a horrible accident. And I was like shaved down to the bone. It was like, and there was like something flopping on my head. And so I turned to the guy and said, I think I'll have that whiskey now. Thank you very much. So there you go. True story. So look, I'm on the Acela Express. Wow, that was a tangent. So I'm on the train coming down here to hang out with you fine folks, and I'm watching this town hall on CNN. Have you heard about this? There were some appalling things that happened in this LGBT town hall. For one, the CNN producers thought it would be appropriate to trot out a 9-year-old child who identifies as a transgender person onto national television. What kind of an adult, a grown adult, would do something like that, using a 9-year-old child as a political prop? But then, as I'm watching this, I see this conversation between little Donnie Lemon over at CNN and Robert Francis O'Rourke. We call him the fake Mexican on my radio program. Bobby, Beto is what they call him, Bobby. He was asked a question. I appreciate the question that Don Lemon asked. It was a pretty straightforward question. He said, would you revoke the tax-exempt status of any church, charity, or Christian university that refuses to endorse same-sex marriage? And Robert Francis O'Rourke said, yes, he would. Now, I want you to understand, this is the mainstream of the Democrat Party, ladies and gentlemen. They want to shut down and they want to punish people of faith. And I've got some news for Robert Francis O'Rourke and anybody else who wants to burn the Bill of Rights. It's going to be a cold day south of Satan's house before any Christian renounces their faith and bows down to the sex and gender revolutionaries. Now, Culture Jihad is not meant to be a book about our nation's demise. If you've read my previous books, I'm a pretty hopeful person. And I have hope for the future. I have hope for a better future. And I still have hope because my hope is not built on a political party. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness, as the great songwriter once said. So I believe that all of us here in this room, we must continue to stand firm in the faith. We must be men and women of courage. It is imperative that gun-toting, Bible-clinging patriots rise up with a mighty voice and declare this great American experiment is worth saving. I think about a story I shared with you my first time speaking to this gathering many years ago. A young man by the name of Roy Costner. Many of you may know that name. I've written about Roy. He was a young 18-year-old boy, high school valedictorian in Liberty, South Carolina. That young man was told that he had to turn his graduation speech in to the school leaders. And when he got it back, it looked like an NSA document. Everything had been redacted. They took out every reference to Jesus and God. They took out every Bible verse. They took out a story about his youth pastor and how his youth pastor had helped him through some difficult times. Roy was perplexed. He didn't know what to do. This was the speech that God had placed on his heart to deliver. He had earned that right to deliver that speech. On graduation day, Roy Costner, he got up, and there was a big crowd gathered there in that town, and the educators, they would not allow Roy to walk up onto the stage with anything in his hands. You see, they didn't want to be fooled. They didn't want Roy to pull a fast one. But those educators did not count on the power of the Holy Spirit, because that young 18-year-old Christian man walked up behind that pulpit and stood tall, and he took that government-approved speech in his hands, and he held it high for all to see, and he tore it in half, and he set it aside, and he said these words in defiance of his government: "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." You see, Roy Costner took a stand. This is a lesson. And this is a lesson for all of us. We've got to take a stand. We cannot bow down. So consider this your call to arms. Happy warriors. We are tasked with defending a noble cause and a noble faith. Yeah, we've taken a few sucker punches. And the enemies of freedom, yeah, they've got us surrounded. And no doubt that our numbers, they might be dwindling just a smidge. But we're still in the fight. Because we're Americans, and that's what we do. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, Todd, what do you think about impeachment? Well, sweet mercy, the Democrats have been trying to impeach Donald Trump before he even announced that he was running for president the first time. I mean, what do we expect? Look, I don't know who you supported back in 2016, but I want to tell you about who I supported. I supported a man who promised to defend religious liberty, to protect the unborn. I supported a man who vowed to secure our borders and restore the federal courts. I supported a man who promised to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, a man who promised to make America great again. And in 2020, I plan to vote for the man who delivered on those promises. My name is Todd Starnes. I'm president of Starnes Media Group. I'm a gun-toting, Bible-clinging deplorable, and I plan on casting my vote in 2020 for President Donald J. Trump, and I hope you will too. God bless you all, and God bless America.